I was a 17-year-old kid running around Brooklyn at a time when Brooklyn was terrible. And I was a product of my environment. I was doing little robberies and, little dumb stuff that adolescents do. One day, a man was killed about 5 a.m. by some older guys in the neighborhood. Somehow told them he rented me the car, told him that I had committed the crime and that I had shot the guy by accident. And that was my first real experience with the criminal justice system because it was a murder. I'm like, murder? I did a couple of robberies. I did some petty stuff, but murder, that's not me. But they arrested me and they charged me with murder. And I was convicted by a jury because the police made me lie in the grand jury and say that I seen this guy. I'm not testifying. I refuse to testify. I'm not going to get up there and perjure myself. And the judge said that he thought about this all night. And he felt that the only person who would benefit from this witness not testifying would be me. Therefore, he was going to allow the prosecutor to admit their grand jury testimony as evidence in chief at my trial, and I would forfeit my right to confront the witness and let the jury hear the truth that she never saw the crime. So that was my first real experience. I was a young knucklehead. The lawyer that I had at the time, Candace Kurtz, said, look, young man, get your head out your ass and you better read these cases and you better see what's going on, like they're railroading you. She took the stand and told the judge what the witness told her, and I was convicted. I was sentenced to 25 years of life, and it was at that moment that I know that I had to study law, that I had to really dig deep in the books, and I did it. New York State, thank God, had a law library. They had all the books in the world. All you had to do was apply yourself. And I spent the next 5 and 6 years working on my case. In 1987, the appellate division in that case found that the judge had no evidence whatsoever that me or anybody acting on my behalf had threatened this witness, did anything improper. It was a very traumatic experience for me because at that time, the parole board wanted me to admit guilt, and I wasn't going to do that. I'm not going to come in and say I killed somebody I didn't kill. I'm not doing that. I don't care what you say, and I had to challenge them and fight them for 2 years. So it changed the mentality of the parole board. They looked at all of my evidence, and they said, based on the evidence that you presented here, we believe in your innocence. Like, this evidence speaks for itself. Even the judge said you was innocent. I don't know what you're doing here all these years. And they released me. And at that point, I began a crusade. Because when I was in prison, there were several guys. We built something called an Actual Innocence team. Guys who I was working in the law library, so I would read guys' case and check them out. So what I had to do was get families together, get people to come together and bring their families and say, look, let's send these people to City Hall. Let them know there's a lot of us in here. It's not just me. It's white, there's black, there's a bunch of us in here that got the same issue. So when we start bringing attention to these cases, it changed the whole dynamic. So when I got out, I joined that group, Family and Friends of the Wrongfully Convictions, and we just began blasting the prosecutors. We began protesting outside their offices and getting rid of them. And in 2 years, he exonerated 22 people. And he found that there was a systemic racist problem in Brooklyn that was convicting the wrong people. So my experiences taught me that there's a lot of innocent people. I was in prison, man. Look, one thing about prison, and I tell people, they say, hey, everybody says they're innocent. That's not true, right? They may tell a lawyer that, but they're not going to tell a guy in the neighborhood with them that. I know you're guilty. I was with you. I know what you did. You told me. Everybody tells me. You're from the same neighborhoods. So it's a small minority of people that's in the law library every single day. If you go to the yard, guys are working out in the weight pile, right? They're playing basketball, but the innocent guys is in that law library every single day trying to find a way out. And that was me every single day. And I studied every book in there. I taught law classes, and I became very good at it. I mean, I was surprised. I went to college, right? When the lawyer gave me the first 2 cases and I read them, I was surprised how well I knew the cases. I was surprised how I comprehended them. And it was because of that that I kept going. And I found a civilian who liked me. He was working in the law library. And the first test I got was a 44. And he said, look, man, I'm not going to waste my time.
You got to explain what that is. What a 44?
A 44 was my grade on the test. I took a test. The first test he gave me was on the Constitution of the United States. I had to learn the 4th, 5th, 6th, 8th, and 14th Amendment. And I failed. I was playing. And he said, look, you're not going to waste my time. You're smarter than that. He challenged me. Next time I came back, I got a 97. So from that point on, I just started studying. I started gravitating to the older guys that knew more than me. Because I was young, they was willing to teach me. And I was like a young sponge. And I just loved what I did. I became passionate about it. And that's why I'm here now.